In the world of workplace safety, it's often the dangers you can't see that are the most serious. That's why today we're going to talk about something called the watermelon effect. It's a really simple metaphor, but it uncovers a hidden problem that can be, well, catastrophic.
Right. So, what on earth does a watermelon have to do with workplace safety? I know, it sounds a little strange, but trust me on this. This metaphor is the perfect way to understand a hidden danger a ton of organizations are facing. And honestly, it might completely change the way you look at safety reports from now on. Okay, to get this, let's imagine a real world scene. Picture a massive EPC project site, engineering, procurement, and construction. It's a super complex place, right? You've got pipelines, massive cranes, hundreds of workers. And if you look at the paperwork, everything looks perfect. All the safety systems are supposedly in place, and every single one of those key performance indicators, the KPIs, they're all green. It looks like a textbook example of a safe site. But what if that perfect green surface is just a surface? What if it's hiding something really dangerous underneath? And that, right there, is the heart of the problem. The huge difference between looking safe and actually being safe. And that's it. That is the watermelon effect. It's just like the fruit, right? On the outside, your safety performance looks totally green, healthy. All your reports, all your metrics, everything is great. But the moment you slice it open, the reality on the ground is just dangerously red. It's full of risks that nobody's talking about and rules that nobody's following. This really shows you that illusion perfectly. Just look at the difference here. On the one hand, you've got the official story, the stuff that management sees in the boardroom, zero accidents, perfect KPIs, everything looks great. But then you look at the other side, and that's the reality. That's what's actually happening on the ground. You've got workers bypassing safety barriers, near misses that just vanish into thin air, and this culture of silence. That's the dangerous disconnect we're talking about. So this leads to a pretty big question, right? If all these risks are real, why in the world aren't they showing up in the official reports? Let's dig into how this gap between perception and reality actually happens. So yeah, why does this happen? I mean, how can a place be perfectly safe on a spreadsheet, but a disaster waiting to happen in real life? The answers usually aren't simple, they're systemic, and they run deep into the company's culture.
Well, it usually comes down to a few key things. First, there's just intense pressure from management to keep all those numbers green. And of course, that's going to discourage people from reporting problems. Then you have the workers themselves, who are often afraid they'll be blamed or punished for speaking up about a near miss. And on top of all that, the organization gets obsessed with what we call lagging indicators, things like accident rates, which only tell you what's already gone wrong. They completely ignore the leading indicators, the clues that could actually predict a future accident. Put it all together, and you get this incredibly dangerous false sense of security.
But here's the thing. A system that's built on a lie, on this fragile green surface, it just can't last. The pressure from that hidden red reality keeps building and building until, inevitably, that watermelon cracks. And when it finally breaks, the consequences are absolutely severe. We're not just talking about a failed audit here. The stakes are so much higher. The fallout it's just catastrophic. First and foremost, you have the human cost. We're talking about people losing their lives or suffering from devastating injuries. But it doesn't stop there. It leads to incredibly expensive project shutdowns, huge fines from regulators, and the kind of reputational damage that a company might never, ever recover from. Okay, so how do we fix this? How can a company make sure its safety culture is genuinely green, not just on the surface, but all the way to its core? Well, the good news is it's possible. There's absolutely a path forward. This really gets to the single most important shift a company needs to make. You have to move your focus from lagging indicators to leading indicators. See, the lagging ones, they only measure failure after it's already happened. It's reactive. But the leading indicators, they're proactive. We're talking about things like near-miss reports, safety observations. These are the early warnings. They let you fix a problem before it turns into a tragedy. What this all means is you have to build a true safety culture. Step 1, you've got to create an environment where people feel safe to report issues without any fear of getting blamed. Step 2, management has to get out from behind their desks. They need to walk the site and see what's really going on. Step 3, you have to investigate every single near miss, as if it were a full-blown accident. And finally, and this is crucial, safety has to be everyone's job, an active shared responsibility all the way from the CEO down to the newest person on site. I really want to let this next thought sink in because it's so important. Every near miss is a tragedy that chose not to happen this time. Think about that. A near miss is basically a gift. It's a free lesson in how to stop a disaster before it happens. And ignoring that lesson, it's one of the biggest mistakes any company can possibly make. So, as we start to wrap this up, it's time to turn the focus on you. I want you to really think about the true color of the safety culture where you work. If you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Stop managing the color of your reports. Start managing the reality on the ground. Chasing green numbers on a dashboard is not safety. The goal is to create a genuinely safe place for every single person to work, period. Because at the end of the day, a real safety culture isn't defined by what happens during an audit. It's defined by what your people are doing when they think no one is watching. That is the true test. And that brings us right back to the question you need to ask yourself. Is your organization's safety performance truly green all the way through? Or is it just green on the surface, hiding a dangerous red reality inside? Answering that question honestly, well, that's the very first step toward making a real change.